We're just going to continue where we left off in the last segment, except that I've added the Geo submenu from the education set. And I've also imported the Boys in Formation clip, which you'll find in the Chapter 14 folder. And I've made that into a timeline. Now, what we're going to talk about here are the several ways that Encore gives us to error-proof our projects, to check for problems that might occur when we author our DVDs. Now, there are two ways specifically that I want to show you that Encore allows us to check our project for errors. One is the most obvious. I'm going to go to File, and then go to Check Project. And from this dialog box, I have the option to check a whole bunch of stuff. So I could check for all problems, or I could say, I just want to make sure that I have my first play set. So I could go and uncheck everything and only have my first play check, and that's the only thing that it would look for. Or maybe I want to make sure that all the buttons on my menus are linked to something. Well, that's what I could check button links for. And so on and so forth for end actions, overrides, helpful things like disk capacity or chapters, that type of thing. So let's click Start. And boy, well, we're just full of problems, aren't we? Now, the icons here are very helpful. We see that these are button icons. We see that this is a menu icon. We see that we have a timeline icon here. So this tells you right off the bat where the problem areas are. Now, for most of our buttons, there's not a link set up, so that's going to give you an error. And we also have this thing called orphan menu. Now, we talked about this a little bit when we talked about the flowchart, but essentially what an orphan is, it's a DVD element that is not linked to anything. So if we were going to author this project now, this submenu menu, and while we're at it, this timeline, which is an orphan timeline, they would not be anywhere on our DVD whatsoever. So then what I would do at this point is go and make these fixes and then come back and hit Start again to check project once again, and it'll keep updating this list, letting us know only what's wrong. So if we fixed it, then it removes itself from this list. Now, I just mentioned the flowchart, so I'm going to close this and actually go back to the flowchart. And we talked earlier about how the flowchart can help us to plot out our projects a little bit better. And I mentioned there briefly that it can be used for troubleshooting. And so in this context, I'm going to revisit the flowchart and just basically again briefly mention that we can check for orphaned elements by going to the bottom of the flowchart panel down here. So visually, we see that we have a menu and a timeline that don't have a home. They're not linked to anything. So when I check my project, this is typically where I go first. Whatever the arrow is first pointing at, that is the first play object. So I know instantly if I have a first play or not as well. And I'm more of a visual guy, so I like to do this in the flowchart. But not only that, not only is it a great visual medium to check your project, but I could also fix stuff as well. I can click on this button and then make my links to that menu and this timeline, and I've basically fixed everything from the flowchart as well. So either way, pick your poison or your pleasure, as it were. These are two ways to check your project for any potential problems.